is absent this evening, and we have Councilmember Peterson.
Here.
We have a motion to excuse Councilmember McDowell.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to second to excuse Councilmember McDowell. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Does the council have any late changes to the agenda tonight? Or city manager?
I do have a late change, Mr. Mayor. We have discussed surplus of a 1996 pickup truck. And I'd like to put that on your action agenda as the last item, E6, if that is okay with council.
Right. Any other late changes? Council have any board reports to share? I wanted to talk about the cemetery wanting a council member on their board. Can we do that now? And see if anybody's interested.
I think we can do that at new business at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, has everyone reviewed the items in the consent agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
May we have a motion?
Move to approve the consent agenda as published.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as published. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Tonight, Public Works Director Jay Harris has information for us about water reservoir storage options.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. Tonight, I have a little different twist on water. We're looking at a water reservoir storage options study. And right now we have 5 storage reservoirs. We have the Angleside Reservoir built in 1967. It's 500,000 gallons. It's up on the hill up there. Mountain View Reservoir in 1972, 0.61 million gallons. High School Reservoir built in 1950, 500,000 gallons. Capitol Hill, 1954. It's 0.22, 220,000 gallons, a little smaller. Upper Mountain View is our latest reservoir, is 0.41 million gallons. Out of all the reservoirs, the Upper Mountain View is the only one that's seismic capable. It's a newer reservoir. When the earthquake hits, the water moves around in there and they'll topple over. So, but a few of these older reservoirs, it's interesting. I was thinking about that. What was the largest earthquake do you think that has hit here in the last 73 years? It's a good question. But obviously the older reservoirs have made it through it, but they're not bolted down well. So we got a lot of looking to do. So we the draft comprehensive plan that we're just finishing up shows that we're deficient in reservoir storage. The 2018 International Fire Code is what we've adopted. And so it changed some of the requirements for the actual storage we need to hold. It used to be 750 gallons a minute for residential zones. Now it's 1,000 and that sort of thing. So on paper, we're a little light in the reservoirs. So we need to get that figured out. So a couple of the master plan projects is to take out the dead storage from the existing Angleside Reservoir that's been talked about with past commissions and council. We need to continue finishing those improvements up there. The Mountain View Reservoir also has quite a bit of dead storage in it that needs to be removed. Last council meeting, I discussed what dead storage was. And it's basically the houses are at the same elevation as the reservoir. You can't drop it very low or else the houses nearby run out of pressure. So we need to remove that dead storage. There's a second Angleside Reservoir at 500,000 gallons in the plan. A second Mountain View Reservoir at 750,000 gallon. Shelton Hills constructing a 0.41 million gallon reservoir. And then there's supposed to be another Upper Mountain View Reservoir at 0.41 million gallons. So sitting back, come from another city, we had 12 million gallons of storage in 3 reservoirs, doubled the population. I'm looking at all these little tiny reservoirs thinking our O&M costs are high. We have very old reservoirs. They're not seismically capable. So it's time to really look at the system combined with the potential of the port and their system. We're going to look to see what happens if we connect it in their well. And they have a couple of reservoirs also to sort of look at the system in a more holistic manner. Maybe put in some larger storage over time and pipe some water around a little better, but eliminate some of the smaller, especially the older reservoirs. So the bottom line is, there's a resolution here for you tonight for BHC Consultants to do a reservoir option study for us for $79,985. And then I will be bringing the report back to council to tell you what they found out and what some of their recommendations are. And then future planning, we would be working on, moving our way probably from smaller stuff to bigger reservoirs. Things are definitely more seismic resilient because the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake is out there, right? We can't forget about it. That's it. That's the end of my presentation tonight.
Donna, is anyone signed up for public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
Do we have a motion?
I move to place resolution number 1265-0223 on the March 21st council meeting action agenda for further consideration. Second.
All right, comments or questions?
Question? Jay, you said O&M costs are getting more expensive. What particularly with our existing infrastructure are you talking about?
Yeah, a great question. So high school tank, outside coating. I don't know if you cruised by there before. That tank was coated 15 years ago. Okay. The coating outside's having a problem. We're sending some divers in the next few months to look at all the insides of our tanks. And they also look for obviously interior rust, peeling paint. They also clean the reservoirs at the same time. We do get a little bit of sediment. We do it every couple of years, and they vacuum out the sediment at the same time. Deferred, I'm worried about the bottoms of the tank. They sit on the ground. It's likely the high school reservoir was built on a coconut mat or a jute mat, and they put them on concrete now and protect the bases a little better. But I'm worried about the base thickness on that one. Also, the overflow pipe on the high school reservoir is not competent. So if it overflows, it's going to be washing onto the slope, which is somewhat rock line. It's not a big deal, but we got that going on. We got the painting going on. The Capitol Hill tank is older, and we don't ever really turn the water over in that tank. There's just not enough people up there. It's really not a good candidate to keep long-term. We're better off bringing water in from a higher zone and maybe stepping it down is one of the ideas, and taking that 200,000 gallon tank offline. But the metal tanks, you're saddled with significant recoating costs. The Department of Health is really concerned about the inside of the tanks, not as much on the outside. That's more of a pretty thing, but eventually we'll get rusting from the outside in. Metal tanks, older, the costs go up considerably. Also, probably if we decide we're going to keep a few of these older tanks, we probably should do a seismic retrofit on them also, do a recoating if needed, seismic retrofit of the tank to make sure that it's bolted down. So if an earthquake does hit, that hopefully the tank will still be there. Also, isolation valves. You asked the question, so I'm hitting you. In an earthquake, they have newer valves that they'll shut the reservoir off. Very likely the piping system breaks. The slide gates go down, shut the reservoir off. It's isolated. We keep the water for drinking, right? For fire protection, if we can get lines to the fire that are competent, but we don't let the tanks run dry, right? The people need drinking water, right? And part of the town might be on fire, and it's a really tough decision to make. It's one of those things when you're in an emergency operations center and drills that you always practice that one. What decision do you make? Is it drinking water, keeping it for the people, or is everyone out of the structures and the town's on fire, right? It's a very difficult decision to make. So anyways, the right answer is save the water for the people if you know you're not going to have a long-term water source, because we can get a month out of the reservoir storage just per gallon a day a person, right? So interesting conversations, but deferred maintenance more on the high school tank. The Angleside tank was painted about 10 years ago, 8 years ago. It's looking pretty good. Capitol Hill's not looking that bad either. Mountain View is not looking too bad. It's starting to show some exterior rust, and Upper Mountain View doesn't need any because it's a newer tank.
All right. Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second to place resolution number 1265-0223 on March 21st, council meeting and action agenda for further consideration. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, next, senior planner Jason Doyle, confirmation for us about Peacock Ridge annexation request.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Hope you'll indulge me. I'm sucking on a cough drop rather than cough into the mic. We came before the council in early February for public hearing to consider annexation of 370 acres of property located above, referred to as Peacock Ridge, located above the college. Generally speaking, it's to the north and east of Terrace Heights, generally speaking, to the south and east of Hiawatha subdivision, just to give you context of location. We held the public hearing, received a lot of public interest, a lot of public comments that mostly related to future development of the property, not necessarily the annexation itself. And no development is proposed at this time. We don't have a project in. But it did avail us the opportunity to send out a list of frequently asked questions, I guess we called them. And basically it just addressed a lot of the questions we heard at the public hearing. You know, who's going to pay for infrastructure? How does the city review projects? Are we aware there are wetlands on the site and the creeks and the steep slopes? And, you know, generally speaking, the answer is yes. We're aware of these things. The developer in the future would pay for the infrastructure improvements. That's street, storm water, water, sewer, parks, you name it. Before the council was to take action on February 21st, it came to our attention that a couple of property owners were missed. So we held back. Staff's recommendation to council was to hold off, correct the mailing issue. We sent out the mailer to all parties within 300 feet a second time, which included an additional approximately dozen people. I think 11 property owners were missed on the initial mailer. That mailing didn't result in any significant contacts. I did receive one contact from one property owner. Surprisingly, he was interested in attaching his property to the annexation request, but I explained to him, you know, we've kind of moved past that point. We are going to be doing our comprehensive plan update in the near term over the next couple of years. That might be a good opportunity if he did want to tack on. And he seemed happy with that. That said, we are recommending that the council adopt ordinance 1998-1222 that would officially annex that property under its current zoning, neighborhood residential, into city limits.
Thank you. Donna, do we have any public comment on this issue?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Then we have a reading of ordinance number 1998-1222.
Ordinance number 1998-1222. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Shelton, Washington, annexing certain property located within the City of Shelton urban growth area into the City of Shelton corporate limits.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt ordinance number 1998-1222 as presented. Second.
Comments or questions? Right. We have a motion, a second, to adopt ordinance number 1998-1222 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, Community and Economic Development Director Jay Hill has details for us about a rooming house ordinance.
Again, I'll be taking this one. Director Hill is unable to attend this evening. At the February 7th meeting, the council held a hearing speaking to rooming and boarding houses. We have the use identified in our code, but it's kind of nebulous as to where exactly it would be allowed. It is a residential use. It's a somewhat common residential use historically, but there is nowhere in the code where it specifically enumerates what zones it would be allowed in, whether we'd require a conditional use permit, would it not be allowed in certain zones. This action simply proposes to solidify that in the code, add that a conditional use permit would be required for rooming houses in the neighborhood residential zone and in our general commercial zones. It would allow it within many of our mixed use zones and then not allow it in our industrial zones, essentially. And we're looking for the council to hopefully adopt ordinance 1999-1222 that would get this change into the municipal code.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. We have Terry Drexler.
Good evening, council members. My name is Terry Drexler for the record. This is a vital change in your ordinance for our transitional housing project. Prior to recently, Jason, Mr. Dose had written a letter confirming that our transitional housing use was an allowed use in the zoning of the downtown district. And then he took a look. Once we got our preliminary design done, he goes, oh, this isn't what we thought it was. So this is vital for us to continue on with our project. I really appreciate Mr. Hill's work on this and his creativity of finding that you had this, this type of use in your code already, and to be able to allow it in the zoning district of multifamily or of downtown is absolutely essential. And so I very strongly encourage, and I also thank you for not having a special use permit requirement for the downtown zone as well. Because gosh darn it, I don't want to do any more of that kind of stuff. So thank you very much for your consideration of this, and I hope that you'll vote yes.
Any other public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
May we have a reading of ordinance number 1999-1222?
Ordinance number 1999-1222. An ordinance of the city of Shelton, Washington, amending section 20.06.030 of the Shelton Municipal Code related to rooming houses.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance number 1999-1222.
Second.
All right, comments or question? Nope. Yes? No. We have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 1999-1222. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Right, Public Works Superintendent Brent Armstrong has information forwarded about purchasing an asphalt patch truck.
Not here either.
Good evening, council. Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. Brent is not here, obviously. Asphalt patch truck. Our current truck is 26 years old. We're proposing to replace it with a Pro Patch truck that has a lot more capabilities. We demoed the truck, and it's night and day between being able to take the asphalt out of the back hopper and redirect it to where you need to put it, which saves guys' backs, to having jackhammers that are hydraulically driven and saws to cut concrete and asphalt right on the back of the truck. They wheel right off the back. The side of the truck has a thing that lifts that you can put the cobble in, and it picks it up for you. That tack is on board, which is a hot asphalt emulsion that we use to spray down, after the hole is prepped. And then obviously the hot mix is in it. The hot mix is good in the hopper for up to 3 days, which is really good, unless the power goes out, right? Then you got problems the next morning, right? They also have a propane powered version of that as another backup. So that's good. So the budget request this year is for $280,000 from the EM&R fund to purchase a Pro Patch asphalt truck.
All right. Will we public comment on it?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
May we have a reading of resolution number 1260-0123?
Resolution number 1260-0123. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign purchase orders for the acquisition of a new patch truck with attachments.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt resolution number 1260-0123 as presented.
All right, comments or questions?
Wait.
Sorry. Comments or question?
Oh, I have a comment. I want to thank DJ and Brent for on behalf of every city council member everywhere, that we are gonna have a more efficient way to fix potholes. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Oh, there was no changes from the last meeting to the resolution. I forgot to mention that. No, this is well needed. It really takes us from a multi-person operation. It's actually going to save on people and time. And then we also are doing it once and doing it right with this new machine. Right now they sort of hump in the mix and then roll it out. We're going to actually cut the edges and get it laid down in there correctly.
So 26-year-old truck was 20th century technology. Now
That's
it's
correct.
21st
That's
century
correct.
technology.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I passed it the other day. It's kind of scary looking.
Got it. So we need you guys out helping us, okay?
Right, any other comments or questions?
I have a quick question on it, and then that's just gonna be utilized for like road patches and things. Is this something that we're gonna be able to offer assistance to people if they're running in a new water line? Are we gonna be able, as the city, help them out by redoing a patch like that for them?
If we're doing the water line and we do our patching, yes. But in terms of for the private development and that sort of thing, no, because I can't gift public funds to people like that.
Oh, we can't even charge.
It
Just
could
we
be
have-
considered,
We have such
but
capabilities now.
we could have the capability, that the patch truck is good for smaller areas. It's not as good for larger areas, right? So it all depends on the size
That's
of
what
the
I'm talking about, are
project.
the smaller areas, just
Yeah.
like, I mean, a water patch is a few feet wide. Talking like you've got people that that have to put in sidewalks, but then they have to marry the asphalt to the sidewalk, which is normally just.
Yes, potential. I'll talk to the street crew about that and the water crew about that.
Just, it takes a lot off of somebody, especially a small developer or somebody like that, just. We have pretty awesome capabilities now, probably better than anybody in town.
It's similar to the county. They have the same truck.
I mean, like the private companies even, because I see most of theirs.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not that nice.
Oh, for smaller patchwork, we have nicer equipment. We obviously can't compete with the bigger pavers
Yeah.
and stuff.
Right. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 1260-0123 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We have another item from Jay. That's
Yes.
Brent, but.
So camera van,
Where is? let me see this. I'm lost. There it is. No? Oh. Well, normally it's in blue. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah.
I just lost it because it wasn't.
So the camera van, interesting thing, I started 3 years ago here and we were out doing some videotaping of our system with our decades old camera truck. And it failed. We couldn't do videos anymore. Got the camera fixed, but then the hard drive in there was done. Everything was wrong in there. The generator wouldn't run, and no air conditioning. We had to send the truck out, the chassis to get serviced. And anyways, I said, you guys, why are we running something 20-something years old with really legacy dinosaur equipment in it? So we got lucky. We sent it down. I think it was Grants Pass is where this truck comes out of. And they had a bunch of dinosaur bones in some containers there, and they were able to take our dinosaur and keep it alive. But they said, this is it. We have no parts left for this thing. That's how old it is. So I said, Brent, we need to ramp this thing up for replacement. The reason is it's imperative that we videotape all of our sewer lines, usually every 5 years. We're looking for roots, cracks, that sort of things, laterals that have extended too far in, because in the sewer main, that's where stuff gets caught. You get it plugged, it backs up, can flood a structure or come out onto the street, that sort of thing. A storm system with our new phase 2 permit. We have to videotape all the lines and inspect the system. So it's going to be used quite a bit with the new storm system requirements. Also, even better yet, with our technology, we're gonna have better technology with the camera truck, way better. The enterprise asset management module that we purchased from Tyler, and that kicks off here in a few weeks, I think. We have our first meeting on that. The EAM module uploads the videos from the video truck and puts them right on the assets that are in GIS. So we can go back and sit at a console, and any staff member can go review a line. So if someone wants to know where their lateral is, we're gonna be able to tell you without having to even send out the camera truck. Right now, we can't even save anything on the video truck, so it's pretty bad. So we're living on borrowed time with it, and we budgeted $257,000 from the storm and sewer funds for the project. And there's been no changes since the last presentation.
All right, do we have a public comment?
No, we don't, Mr. Mayor.
And maybe have a reading of the resolution number 1261-0123.
Resolution number 1261-0123. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign a purchase order for the acquisition of a camera van.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve resolution number 1261-0123 is presented.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? Oh, right, we have a motion to second to adopt resolution number 1261-0123 as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, Public Works Director Jay Harris has information for us about Angleside Pressure Zone.
We're busy right now. Last one, I promise, okay? And I'll be quick on this one. Angleside tank is 480,000 gallons, built in 1967. A lot of houses, a lot of dead storage. The houses are built up at about the same elevation. We need to increase the reservoir storage there. The dead storage should be pretty easy to go grab. We have BHC Consultants that's going to look at the whole pressure zone up there. It's actually quite a bit larger. It goes all the way out to Lake Boulevard. Those are the people around 290 to 305 on contour elevation. It's a whole larger zone that we really need to spend some time looking at. That's what this pre-design report will do. We'll get it to the state, get it approved. And then with the pre-design report, we'll know how to budget projects. So the dead storage project is one of them. Also, the comprehensive plan calls for a new tank also to be built up there. But we need to know where the high pressure lines go, where a new tank could possibly go, or a couple locations potentially. So BHC gave us a proposal for $159,200 to complete this pre-design report. And there's been no changes to the resolution since the last meeting.
All right. Public comment, Donna?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, maybe have a reading of resolution 1263-0123.
Resolution number 1263-0123. A resolution of the council of the city of Shelton, Washington, authorizing the city manager to sign the work order with BHC Consultants LLC for a pre-design report for the Angleside water pressure zone.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Move to adopt resolution number 1263-0123 as presented.
Second.
All right. Comments or questions? Oh, all right. We have a motion to second to adopt resolution number 1263-0123 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right, we're at our late change agenda, the surplus vehicle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Several weeks ago, the Shelton Cemetery District contacted the city, and their truck that they use to haul various materials around the cemetery was failing, about to fall apart, and had a repair bill that was worth more than the vehicle. So they approached the city and asked if we had any surplus vehicles or any way that we might be able to help them continue to conduct the work of the cemetery district. We did a search, looked around and see what we had, and it turns out that we have a 1996 Ford F-150 long bed with nearly 100,000 miles on it. That the Public Works Department no longer uses and doesn't see any future need for. And we would like to surplus that and then sell that at fair market value to the cemetery district with council's approval for surplus. We provided you tonight with the surplus policy along with the resolution for surplusing the vehicle, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Donna. Anyone set up a public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone in the audience want to comment on this since it was a late ad? All right, maybe a reading of resolution number 1266-0323.
Resolution number 1266-0323. A resolution of the city of Shelton, Washington, declaring a certain city-owned EM&R vehicle surplus and authorizing its sale as provided by law and city policy.
Thank you, Donna. Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we waive the three touch rule and approve the resolution number 1266-0323 as presented.
Second.
All right, comments or questions? All right, we have a motion to second to waive the three touch rule and approve resolution number 1266-0323 as presented. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Yeah, we have a city manager report.
I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and council members. A couple things I wanted to point out to you this evening. First, the Financial Sustainability Task Force that you authorized and is continuing their work. They're looking at various departments throughout the city. I had a presentation yesterday, I believe, from our Public Works Department regarding these funds, the water fund, sewer fund, including general fund components, which we're all focused on. Been doing a lot of work, a lot of information, and I'm very happy that they are digging in and looking at how we can create efficiencies, not only for 2024, which as we've been mentioning for several years will be a challenge, but also into the future. If we want to fix this, I think Jay mentioned earlier about the asphalt patch truck, do it once, do it right. So you don't have to keep going back and doing it over and over and over again. So that work is continuing, and I think you'll see some great recommendations out of that. We were notified today by a resident and posted on social media immediately about it that there is a spoof website that is capturing some residents for utility billing payments. As a reminder, our domain is sheltonwad.gov. The spoof website has uses our logo, uses similar telephone numbers and everything else. So I just caution residents to be extremely careful about who you're working with. We want to make sure if we can get the information out there that nobody gets scammed. They're getting rather sophisticated. This one caught me off guard. It looked exactly like our website. So be very careful who you're paying when you're taking a look at that. Lastly. Well, not lastly, go over, you're looking ahead. So on March 14th, next Tuesday, you're going to have a discussion with the Community Development Department about housing options. You'll be looking at potential to increase housing stock within the city limits, including multifamily tax exemption programs, both 8 and 12 year, along with a couple other items, including inclusionary zoning, which is a tool several communities around the state have used to increase their housing stock within their communities. Lastly, I did want to mention that there's been some social media chatter surrounding my job as city manager, and wanted to make sure that everybody had the actual factual information directly from me, especially the team here at Shelton, because the rumor mill affects everybody and affects everybody differently, and we want to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's going on. So I have been offered another city manager position, and I have accepted that position. My last day in the office will be March 31st. That's a Friday. However, my contract requires I provide you with 30 days notice, but as you all know, I've had a long standing plans for a vacation out of the country, April 3rd to April 14th. I will still be taking advantage of that vacation. So it's bittersweet. I've really enjoyed my time here, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to work with council to address some of the issues that you wanted us to address. Infrastructure, number one, you've heard a lot of things tonight about water, but the same applies to sewer. And there has been, unfortunately, long-term disinvestment in some of the infrastructure projects. A perfect example of that is the water line that we replaced on Railroad several months ago, where we had to go down quite a ways in order to shut the water off, because a valve that was put in under the street in the 1940s failed. and we had to go down and replace, go to another valve that worked. Which caused a wider shutoff area, but those are the kind of things that will happen if continued lack of investment in those infrastructure pieces continues to occur. So just tying that back into the Financial Sustainability Task Force, they will produce those recommendations. And I would recommend that you hear what those recommendations are, because it really is about the future. It's much more cost effective to the taxpayer to do it the right way upfront and not wait until something fails. It's easier to address it now than to fix it. I think the quote that I like to apply, and I can't even remember who said it, but it's either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. So that's what I think the community, the choices of the community is facing. I will be talking to each of you. The city clerk, Donna, is setting up appointments or trying to schedule appointments for each of you so I can make recommendations about what you do in the coming months. And looking forward to those conversations, and we'll have more information at your next regular business meeting on the 21st. So thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Sure, questions for Jeff.
Do we have an interim already or no?
That's up for council to decide, and will be part of the discussions that will take place coming up.
Perfect.
I just want to make a few comments. One is thank you for your leadership for the city for the past few years, and everyone in the city and the city departments I've talked to just look up to you, and I've seen it in action, how you are an outstanding leader, you lead by example. And also how quickly that you bring everybody together and that we come up with solutions right away. And just for example, we needed a DCR, we brought a leadership team together. We brought the housing task force together, and we got a DCR. And then we, as a council, passed the third touch rule, and we got one the next day. And so I just want to say thank you for your hard work for the city, and happy landings.
Thank you.
Congrats.
We're gonna have public comment in a second. I'm not saying bye yet, so we'll wait.
Yeah, we have lots of time
We got lots
to
of
talk
time.
about accomplishments. and everything,
Yes.
but sincere congrats to you, Jeff. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, members of the public are invited to make public comment on any topic. Donna, do you have anyone interested in making public comment tonight?
Yes, we do, Mr. Mayor. Our first comment is from Dean Jewett.
Dean Jewett, lifetime Mason County community member. Appreciate being able to be here. A couple weeks ago, I kind of threw out a challenge to all of you guys to do a little bit of homework and have some conversations with some businesses without survey type situations and see what is the general feeling that you're getting with some of the stuff that we have going on downtown. Obviously, you can't answer me with those. It sure be nice to get an answer to an email or a conversation to find out who'd you talk to? What did they say? Where are we at? Maybe I am, out on an island. Maybe I'm not. We have a lot of stuff going on in Shelton. We've had several dumpster fires. We've had arsons. We've had murders. We've had shootings. We've got an increase in crime. We have an increase in a street population. We got an increase in garbage, alcoves being taken over, defecation, urination, all of the above. What I don't really like to see is that is becoming the norm. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that wasn't the norm. So now a lot of times you see something and you walk right on by it like it doesn't even matter. We wouldn't have done that 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I've actually tried it myself. I start shaking. I can't do it. Okay. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to bring it to your attention. I would hope that you guys do the same when you see it. If you don't, I would love to give you a field trip on some of the trips that I take. Free of charge. No charge. I'll even buy you a coffee. Okay. Garbage collection. Even though this isn't my kind of beer, this is one of probably 187 visual articles that I collect that are just within our parking lot, along with the drug paraphernalia, defecation, urination, toilet paper, feces running down the wall. Okay, those are just, I mean, it's insane. I get threatened. I got threatened today with a big rock and a stick. Okay, I don't really care. You're gonna bring it at me, we'll go for it. But I don't like to do it. I don't want to do it. Why should I be forced into that? I have a feeling that part of that happens is somewhat the leadership's responsibility that puts the citizens in those situations to begin with. I cleaned up an area, an alcove, very nice lady shop, and I cleaned it all up for her. The lady across the street from the other nice shop came over and thanked me and said that her customers are scared to even walk around. Obviously, I've got about 6 more things, but I don't have time. And I'll go ahead and get rid of this for you guys. Thank you.
Right, anyone else signed up, Donna?
Yes, Susan Kirchhoff is next.
I followed Dean last time. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Susan Kirchhoff, I'm with the Youth Connection. I do want to say thank you, Dean. He actually came and brought us a big bag of black garbage bags. I'm happy to report that we have continued our effort to try to counterbalance some of that. I would challenge you all to go take a look in our alley. It looks amazing. We had 4 young people out there cleaning today, and they all got a gift certificate for it. So they thought that was pretty cool. I do want to say that we spent some time this last week working in the area between the YMCA and the high school. And then we also went through the Huff and Puff, and unfortunately, and I say this with great sadness, that we actually found a homeless young person living on the Huff and Puff. The positive is now that we were able to connect them to services with us. So that was a big, huge thing that our garbage collection has been able to do. Both of our centers are doing wonderful. In the month of February, we had 328 visitors to our center. I will say the majority of them are young people. Today alone, we had 23 people in our center doing wood burning. So I would encourage anyone to be part of the solution. And I do want to say thank you to council members for writing the letter of support for our request to the capital funding budget so that we can get our project done. And thank you for passing the boarding house change, because that's going to make a difference in our city. Thanks.
Our next speaker is Monty Ritter.
Oh, no, you guys, you're the best. Thank you so much for paying attention to me, or at least listening to me. My thinking here is we have a problem. You guys are really good about this, but a long time ago, when the urban growth area was created, when Clinton passed that Growth Management Act, we as a county had to come up with these little urban growth areas. And that's the way it was. Okay. And back then, Mark Ziegler, I was on the Citizens Advisory Committee. I had access to all this information, how the county and the city was going to work together to create an urban growth area. It was needed back then. It's not needed now. Times have changed. And as we go into this future, we do not need this urban growth area. So when the city is trying to ask those of us who are in the urban growth area to give up our right to annexation, because you want to say we have access to your water and sewer, that's not right. If you want to sit there and say that you can annex our property without our say so, just because we need you for sewer, you guys, please do not do this to us. It's wrong, and you should think about this. I've been talking to our county commissioners. We have a hard time with this. I have my friends who have houses. Their homes are built on pure blocks. Their houses are worth less than their pressurized mound systems, sewer systems. If you guys want to make them, force them to put into a city sewer system, you're killing us. please don't do this. It's so wrong.
And we-
Please don't clap, please don't clap, please don't clap.
We have one more speaker, Thomas, not sure your last name, Walter, maybe?
Sorry, I'm not. Didn't know I was speaking.
Okay, thank you. That is it then, Mr. Mayor.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak? All right, then, item for new discussion, sorry. Are there any items for discussion? I was approached by the cemetery asking if any one of us would like to join their cemetery board. And I said I would check. If anybody's interested. It is 4 times a year.
All good.
I will give you the information. All right. Now, our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, March 21st at 6 p.m. We also have a study session Tuesday, March